Hello and welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast. It's your boy Day.
And I'm David, and together, we don't want to sell you pie in the sky. We want to sell you pie you can eat tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't make
All
a
right.
lot of sense, but this is Call Me Limbo. I went to a community event it was last weekend, and it was about this Front Range passenger rail, this train that's going to connect like northern Colorado to Denver and like the cities along the Front Range is what they call it. So that's basically east of the Rocky Mountains. And this train ideally will also go down further south to like Colorado Springs, Pueblo, and maybe Trinidad, which will connect an Amtrak train, which is very exciting. This will be funded through, so they can fund this project from Fort Collins to Denver and many cities along the way with like existing funds that they have. So that's great. In order to expand this project, they're going to propose like a sales tax, I think, for this special district that they created called the Front Range Passenger like Rail District. And they're hoping that people will vote to tax themselves in order to fund this project. And the person presenting just kept talking about, I'm not here to sell you pie in the sky. I'm here to sell you pie that you can eat tomorrow. And like, we want to get this project done as fast as we can. And this is the pie that you can eat tomorrow because we're going to, like, this project will be ready to go by like 2029. They kept saying, they're like, we'll be inaugurating a new president. And at that same time, you can get on this rail and take the train from Denver to Fort Collins. And I was like, that's exciting. That's cool. But I just found it really, really funny that
David, I hate that. I'm sorry. I hate when people, because it's like my friend and I will just be talking, we'll be like, "Oh, don't make no dang sense." Like, it's like, yes, I get, I get what you're trying to do, but it's done in such a way that it actually becomes an impediment to me listening to you. Cause I'm just like, pie you can eat tomorrow. First of all, I don't buy pie to eat tomorrow. I buy pie to eat it today. Just tell me
immediately.
we're investing in a future we can believe in or investing in this. Don't give me some BS. They're not selling you pie on the sky. We're selling you pie you can eat tomorrow. I want the pie today. I don't go down to the local Piccadilly. I don't even think they have, I don't know if they have Piccadillys anymore
Piggly
and get
Wiggly.
my pie to eat it tomorrow. I want that sweet potato pie today. Stop
Yeah.
selling people the, listen, if you are doing a presentation, if you Call Me Limbo is available to do speeches and do presentations to your events, but stop having these janks where y'all give us these corny one-liners. Okay, I would love to just host an event where we teach people how to take out BS stuff like that and create better ones. Because the fact that you had to sit there and listen to them, you'll get a new president and you'll get be able to ride this. I am not thinking about that right now. The first thing I think about with an inaugural president, the president's inauguration, is not, and I'll be able to get on the this little frontier train. Like, connected to my daily life. Just say like by 2030, you won't have to, you'll be driving your car 20% less or 40% less. That's
Ooh.
something actually believable. And I'm making this up as we go along. So I just want to say, whoever was doing that presentation, boo, or tomatoes, say it with love if you're a listener, but call us before your next one because we could help you out with that. Because I know what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
Almost doesn't count though, as Brandy said. So sorry.
Yeah. Is sweet potato pie your go-to pie?
Um, My go-to is key lime pie, but I do love
Ooh.
sweet potato would be next. I'm not a huge, so my pie palette is
Yeah,
very
give us the
limited.
pie
Like,
hierarchy.
yeah, because I do not, controversial, y'all come at me in the comments. I do not like fruit pies because I don't
I think
like
that's
it,
fair.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't like, it's just like, I love the crust though. The crust of a pie, of like a fruit pie, tends to slap. So McCormick and Schmick used to have this like double apple type pie thing that was actually really good. It was like one of the rare exceptions. But again, I think a lot of it was because the crust was just top tier. But for me, it's key lime pie, sweet potato pie. I like cakes more than I like pies because most pies tend to be fruit filled. Now, if it's not that, then yeah, I can consider some other pies, but I've had like a lot of them, I don't remember the name because I feel like I had this lemonish one recently that was really good.
Ooh.
Um, and I would probably argue that I enjoyed that more than a lemon cake. But yeah, so there's a spot here, you've had it, called Pound Cakes by Jen,
Oh,
who
that place was
has
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's not a pie, but it's those are good. But yeah, I'm very anti pumpkin pie because pumpkin pie to me is just unsweet sweet potato pie, and you might as well just give me some water. So I don't know. I'm one of those people. If it's not gonna actually be sweet or tasty, I'm okay just not having it. It's kind of like I watched this thing last night where the guy was like, "Yeah, give me a clean, unsweet iced tea and blah blah," blah. And I was just give me water. I don't need it. I'm not gonna waste there's nothing more worse than being, like, teased with something that's supposed to taste good.
Mhm.
I don't like stuff like that. Like, why are we playing these tiddlywinks? Just give me water. So I don't want no unsweet tea. I don't want no room temperature Kool-Aid that's unsweet. Just
No,
give
definitely not
me
room temperature
water.
Kool-Aid. Which
Just give
Kool-Aid do
me
you like?
water. Ooh.
I like the blue Kool-Aid.
Yeah, first of all, I love that you call it by colors because that
Yeah.
feels very
It's
cultural.
only blue. It's only
Yeah.
blue. It's only
Blue.
grape, I think, is the acceptable one to maybe say purple
Yes.
or grape, but,
Yes.
like, red, I
Red.
red Kool-Aid, yeah,
Yes.
I like the blue
Doesn't
Kool-Aid.
matter what flavor, red.
Yeah.
So I do like tropical punch blue. So I'm saying it for the people who need a little. Wait, is tropical punch red? I can't remember. I thought tropical punch was blue. So admittedly, it's been a
Mhm.
long time since I've had Kool Aid. Actually, take that back. There's a restaurant here that sells Kool Aid in like the big pipe, like quart jugs.
Ooh.
Qu- Sweet as molasses. So I try not to get it often, but every time I've had it, I've been like, because it's so sweet, but it's so good.
Yeah, there's a place here called Chiba Hut that has Kool-Aid on tap, and it's so good,
Backs
and they
have
have the
not
3
seen
flavors. They have a
sun.
red, they have a blue, and then they have the grape. And it's the blue one is the perfect one. And I found out too, friend of the podcast, friend of Phoebe Award winner, Caitlin, my therapist, also likes Chiba Hut. And I asked her, I said, which one's your because I said they have the best fountain Pepsi. The best fountain Pepsi. And she goes, I usually get the Kool-Aid. And I said, which flavor? And she goes, the blue. And I said, trust
Yeah.
established. Like
Yes.
even more trust established. Ah,
Yes.
yeah.
I do. Now, admittedly, friends, people who know me, I am a cherry over strawberry kind of hoe. So I do love cherry flavored things.
Okay.
Um, but I've also become, as an adult, I've become a fan of watermelon flavored things, which
Oh,
I didn't think
yes.
would happen. But it's a new thing that I'm leaning into. I'm exploring. Now I kind of secretly want to go to this place today. I'm not. I'm trying to do better. We'll see. But I love like okay. So Rita's Italian ice, water ice, as my friends from Philly love to say.
So good.
I have so we have 2 that are year round, but then the rest are kind of seasonal. I know, makes me happy. So
Yeah.
blue is kind of so I get love cotton candy. Like anybody knows me, I love cotton candy. It's nothing but sugar and crack. And y'all, I promise I'm about to do better. I've been actually doing pretty decent,
We're
but
not shaming here. We're
we're
not
not
shaming.
we're just shaming myself. But I would say that I love vanilla ice, but I get it as the misto shake. So you can get it where they add the cream and custard and they shake it up.
Yes.
Lives were changed.
So good.
Lives were changed. So if you are a fan of Kool-Aid, first of all, any place that sells Kool-Aid, I just assume the food has to slap because
Yeah.
that's such a good creation. Like, and let me ask this because culturally, Kool-Aid gets a lot of like, it just feels very urban coded a lot of times when people discuss it in public. But I'm like, they had commercials for Kool-Aid. So I know white people drink Kool-Aid. So my
Yeah.
question is like, what is Kool-Aid like in the Caucasian community? Like
If
what is it sweet? Is it just like a little yang 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 for around the house? Like what I don't know what that experience like to us, Kool-Aid, because let me tell you, I hated Huggies. Y'all, this is the spring summer
oh,
episode.
yeah.
But maybe that's what it is. My birthday's next week, so we're calling it the spring summer episode. I hate a Huggy. Like,
Yeah.
I think I'm
Those
still
little
in
jug
PTSD.
hug like
Yes,
barrel drinks. Yeah.
trash. I
Yeah.
don't
Not
care if
great.
the maker of them are listening, trash. I still get PTSD from having Huggies because Huggies tasted like flavored water. And I just told y'all, I don't like water that tastes like, I don't like
I
I don't
like
like
regular
backwash
water.
water. Do not give
like
me no backwash water. So
Yeah.
what is Kool-Aid like in the white community? Like, is it because you know, like when I go places and they have sweet tea, sometimes they have unsweetened tea and they have like sweetened tea. And there's Southern. I don't let me this is unpopular. I think it's because I'm not medicated, y'all. Normally I'm medicated before we record. So I apologize if this episode is all over the place. But
Me too, and I'm
I
not
have a
today.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, I forgot to take my meds. I was running late. So I have a question because I sometimes don't consider culturally, I look at Southern white people as much more akin to Black people and a very different subset of white people than like non-Southern white people. So in my mind, like, it's like Southern sweet tea. I know I can go down there and get a dessert. Like their backs are as big as mine. Like I just know that I can get good food, good drink, and and probably a healthy side of racism. But at least I know the food and the drink's gonna be hitting. So I'm curious, as a Midwestern hoe, is it the same? Are y'all more akin to like the South, but then you're so close to the West? Like, I don't know what that's like.
So I might blow your mind here. Kool-Aid was invented in Nebraska Day.
What?
Kool-Aid was invented in Nebraska. In Hastings, Nebraska. Yes, in 1927 by Edwin Perkins.
This is
It
a
was
part of your.
originally
It's
called
almost
Fruit
100
Snap.
years of Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm. I grew up in the Kool-Aid heartland. I would make it as a kid in a big old pitcher, get a big old plastic pitcher, pour the Kool-Aid powder, and then fill up the container with probably 3 or 4 scoops, big scoops of sugar, and then mix it up and then put it in the fridge to like set. Yeah. Kool-Aid was made in Nebraska. So invented in Nebraska. So
It wasn't Alabama or somewhere like. First of
no.
all, they were trying to kill us 100 years ago because why were we putting so much sugar? They have been trying to kill us
Or
for years.
cocaine in Coke. Honestly, bring that back. Bring that back.
Allegedly. Allegedly. I thought they brought it back, but yes. And it's funny because I went on this outing and the guy was like, because he's from overseas, and he was like, he loves Coca-Cola, but he says in America, the Pepsi is better than overseas. He says the Coke is better. And he was like, y'all's Coca-Cola here is trash. And I keep hearing that from different people, depending on where you are, depends on how the soda tastes.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is fascinating to me. That
Yeah.
Kool-Aid is from. Now I
Was
want to
the-
find like
There's a
if
Kool-Aid
you're the
museum, I'm
CEO.
pretty sure. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure there's a Kool-Aid museum in Hastings, Nebraska. I have not been, but I am pretty sure. So yeah,
wanna
it's on the
go.
eastern side of the state. So yeah,
Mm,
but yeah,
maybe during the daytime. Sorry, y'all. We just had like a 15-minute rant about Kool-Aid, but my big bag can talk about food all day. So
I'm also famously, I also like to eat cakes, and
preferably of the chocolate flavor
I love a
Empress.
chocolate cake. I love a chocolate cake.
Maybe some marble cake, a little bit of caramel cake, you know.
Uh-huh.
But it was like
I'm
my
like
pie. I'm very equal opportunist when it comes to my cake. You know, I'll take a rum cake, vanilla
Mhm.
cake, caramel cake, lemon cake,
Yeah.
chocolate cake. This feels really, really, really problematic. But again, why? It's just cake, you know?
It's just cake. It's just cake. No, my pie hierarchy is pecan. I know that that's probably a hot take. I love pecan pie. So
That's the
good.
most white people pie that I think about outside of pumpkin.
Really?
It is. Like, I just always think like pecan pie. Because the fact that y'all say pecan instead of pecan pie, I'm already like, okay. But I love that. Like, there's no
Yeah.
judgment
No.
about the pecan pie. Like, I personally, it's hard for me to do like a lot of nut-based desserts are harder for me in general. Like, I don't like Snickers and things like that. But I don't have any beef. Unlike, like, I have me and pumpkin pie, it's up and it's stuck. Like, I'm gonna always have beef with pumpkin pie. I don't have beef with pecan pie though.
Okay. Yeah. And then I don't mind a pumpkin pie sometimes. I like the texture, but you're right about the flavor. When I had my first slice of sweet potato pie, definitely much better, much better. And Patti LaBelle's pie is great, and you can get it at Walmart. And it's very affordable. So, and then stick it in the microwave for a few seconds. Oh,
Or the oven. for
Yeah.
those who really
Or the
know.
or the oven, that makes that's good. So, but yeah. Well, I was gonna
It's
say
like
lemon
lobster and crab. I'm sorry, this is also my unpaid. Like lobster to me is unsweet crab.
oh,
See,
lobster's gross. I don't like lobster.
I like lobster in savory dishes like lobster mac and cheese. I could even do like a good lobster roll, but
I don't
lobster
mind a
like
lobster roll, but yeah.
yeah, like it's like to me, I grew up on crab. I'm
Uh-huh.
from Chesapeake Bay area. And so crab to me just has a sweeter taste than lobster. But I don't hate lobster. It's just that sometimes I feel like people put lobster in things that crab would have been better for. But that's a whole other thing. You know,
Yeah.
for someone who can't cook, one thing they knows is food.
You know how to eat though.
Yes, I've been told.
Yes. You know how to eat though. So, yes. Well, real quick, since we're talking about food, and then I want to hear your "It's a Fool" segment follow up
Oh yes.
from last time. But I was like, I hadn't been to Texas Roadhouse in quite a while, and I went the other day. I know it was just as good as I remember, but the early dine, because you know I'm an old person, the
Oh, yeah.
early dine that you can get for that's a discounted meal from on Monday through Thursday between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. No. If they want to sponsor me, I have or us, I
Yes,
will
sir.
happily become a sponsor of theirs. The early dine is up to $14.99 now. It used to be when I started going, it was like $9.99, $10.99. It's now up to $14.99, which I still think is a pretty good deal, but like nothing's getting cheaper. So, yeah. Thanks, Obama.
That's wild.
Yeah. So,
Wild.
yeah. Okay, let's hear your "It's a Fool" follow up from last time.
Yeah, so this was brought from another listener. That's what I'll say. I will call him out. So my friend decided to tell me, and this is so raggedy, but my It's a Fool segment. So for those who work in adult happy fun time content,
Yep.
my It's a Fool this week is I can't believe I'm saying this.
Say it. I'm excited.
Y'all got to start taking care of certain basic hygiene things when you're making these videos. Case in point, my friend was watching a video where they were having adult happy fun time on a tabletop, and the man's heels were crusty. And I just got upset because the whole time we're just sitting here like, why are your feet and the heels of your feet so crusty? Or it's
Oh,
like
I
you
thought he was wearing
watching it,
high heels. No, like the heels of his feet.
like the heels of his feet were
Okay, not
crusty.
wearing high
Or
heels.
it's like, or like you watch it and they're like doing adult oral transactions and it's like, but why your fingernails got dirt underneath them? Like it's just little things like that that I'll just be like, this is a fool. And so yeah, it's a fool. If you're gonna do adult happy fun time, because you could have put on socks.
Yeah.
Nobody told you that you had to make your foot a central part of the angle. And so it's like nobody in editing saw that and said, maybe not the best. I don't know. As a person who like adult entertainment things to me are like oftentimes kind of just funny. And
Mhm.
so I often am just distracted look if I'm watching it at like things that aren't related. And that was just like a great example that I was just be like, why did feet look like that?
Yeah.
Why did toenail? What is that? Oh, ah, ah.
Yuck.
And
Yeah.
so yeah. So my rule is if you're gonna do adult happy fun time, please don't put anything in the angle that is not together because it could have been his non-pedicure week. That's totally fine.
Sure.
Don't make your heel the
The
focal
star of
point
the
of the
show.
shot. And I was disgusted. So I just wanted to share
Yeah.
that we do see it. It's a
Mhm.
fool.
Yeah. And this has been a public service announcement brought to you by
Yes. Clean your feet.
Okay. Yeah.
Even if there's meat in the shot, clean your feet. Please.
Like you always say,
Yes.
even if there's meat in the shot, clean your feet.
Clean
Yes.
your feet.
I know you get pedicures. I've had a
I do.
few. I I'm so
You ticklish?
ticklish. I'm
Yeah.
so ticklish. And when they get that brush and they just start like I have
I don't
caused
know
a
how I lost
scene.
I've desensitized to that. I don't know how or why, because I think at first I was, but now I was like, I don't tickle at all for it.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
But
that's
I think it's probably just because you're like, once you get used to it,
yeah.
I actually have a home one for the heels of the feet. Like, I
Uh-huh.
do have one that I just kinda touch up in between sessions. Because my foot, it's weird, like, I don't know why my foot will get drier. Like, my hands and feet get dry just really quickly, no matter how much I moisturize, so I have to be
Yeah.
consistently doing it. But yeah, get a little, like, exfoliating thing. It changes lives, especially between sessions.
This is good to know. This is good to know.
Mhm.
I haven't had a pedicure in a really long time,
It's
so
time,
I
honey.
only let people see my feet from the top. I was like, the bottom is a little rough, so I would
Go
put that in
ahead,
my right.
honey.
I would wear socks. I would wear
See?
socks.
Thank you. That is not a distraction. You're
Yes.
selling a product, people.
Yes.
Sell it properly. And here you go. There's nothing a quick petty can't fix. I love
Yeah.
a good, it's like my relaxing time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get much time to myself, so when I do get a mani and a pedi, it's very like, I force myself not to do work. It's kinda hard to anyways, because
Yeah.
I will usually do a pedicure because I can still type on my phone, but once the mani starts, I can't. So it's a really good
Sure.
relaxing thing.
I've never had a manicure. In 7th grade, I've done pedicures, but I was like, in 7th grade, we had to do these like exploration classes where we would rotate every month and like dabble in a different sort of like career. And one of them was about like job interviewing and training. And we had to give ourselves like manicures to like have clean nails to show up to the job interview.
Interesting.
So, 7th grade, they
Of
were
course.
prepping us for capitalism.
Wow,
But
I've never heard
yeah.
that before.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd rather get foot reflexology or a massage, honestly,
I mean,
than
those
like
usually come as a two-piece, to be honest.
yeah.
They usually do both at my places that I go to. You get massage and you get the mani and the pedi.
Yeah. Well, that's
Hand
nice.
massage too, which is great because my hands are used so frequent, especially with phones and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think I had a friend recently who got it done, and it's like he was like, "I don't think I realized what my nail or the health of my nail would feel like until I got it done." And I think that's what it is because until you experience it, you don't
Mhm.
realize, like, the health of the cuticle and, like, just how much stuff can still be there and, like, what it feels like and how refreshing it is once they've actually been taken care of.
Okay.
So that's my thought. It's kinda like when I got laser hair removal on my face and stuff, and my skin rejuvenated because, like, I had really bad scarring from ingrown hairs. I didn't
Okay.
even know it was possible for my skin to glow the way that it did
Hmm.
until afterwards. So, I don't know if that's really a good comparison, but that's what it's gonna be today because 'cause I'm tired, and that's all I have for y'all, so
Huh. Okay. Oh, yes. Well, thank you for this this follow-up and how you were talking with someone who listens. We got a comment from a listener after last week's episode from Jessica. Thank you, longtime listener and Patreon member. Thank you, Jessica, for your
Yes.
support. If you would like to become a Patreon member, you can by going to patreon.com/callmelimpopod and contributing your financial support. But Jessica said in response to a conversation we had last week about bangs and bobs.
Mm.
By the way, no one has more opinions about bobs than the gays. So,
Yes, I would agree.
I would agree too. So thank you for holding us accountable. But I did you hear the Pope is weak on crime day?
I heard bits and pieces because now I guess he went from being the authority on Catholicism to now he's just wrong.
I guess.
And now the president, newly converted Catholic JD Vance, and all these others are now saying that, nah, I don't think he's getting it right. War is justified. Am I following now?
I think so. That's all I have really heard. I just thought it was really funny. And I was just like, the Pope? The Pope is weak on crime? What
I just
timeline are we living in? It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Oh,
yeah. For my Marvel fans, I keep waiting for Loki and them to just transport us to a different one. Because at this point, I'm not surprised by the hypocrisy. I'm just kind of curious, like, people who actually believe, like, I never believed anything Donald Trump or JD Vance, like, these people to me are not serious people. Like, they're seriously bad, but, like, I don't believe their BS. I don't believe their fake Christianity and all that type of stuff. So, like, I'm not shocked by them just changing their thoughts as the wind blows. But for people who, for whatever reason, believe them, I'm kind of like, what do y'all how do y'all do this? Like, how do you contort yourself into the mental gymnastics? Because even with Trump, like, "Oh, I didn't I didn't know that this was Jesus with a Jeffrey Epstein looking character in this photo he posted of himself as Jesus." It's like, "Oh, I thought it was just a doctor." And then in my head, I was like, "Why would you have posted that either? You're not a doctor." Like, just first of all, it's clear that it's Jesus. And so it's just like it's a Jesus type figure. And I just look at it like, how are people this stupid? And
Yes.
then I realized,
Yes, they
yes,
are.
yeah, there are people who are just that stupid. And I don't know, like, I didn't even feel like getting into the Discord because I was just like, this is the type of attention that they want. And I just said to him, I was like, this isn't for me. I've always seen his blasphemy is not new. I don't take these people seriously. And honestly, if I'm being honest, well, honestly, if I'm being honest, but frankly, this is what happens when you have religious figures like Paula White and these other terrible people gassing him up. Like that lady said, "Ain't nobody been persecuted like you have been since Jesus." And I'm just like, "Man, sit on a porcupine. Just sit, bounce up and down on a porcupine." For you to say that BS out your mouth seriously, it's just like, "Oh yeah, you're an unserious person to me and undeserving of the title of pastor of anything, except for maybe the block you stay on." And it just bothers me because you have people so heavily influenced by these people who claim to be conduits of the word of God. And it's like, nothing that you're saying is actually rooted in spirituality and love, etc. It's just power, manipulation, and control. And so, like, when I see Trump post BS like that, I'm just like, it tracks because he know who it's for. It's for. It's not for me. It's a distraction to get people talking about that instead of the crazy stuff we're doing overseas. But I'm like, I would say go to hell, but I feel like we're halfway there. So I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I think we're a little bit more than halfway, but yeah. No, it's like this tough on crime, like, mantra thing is really frustrating to me because it was like there was a Denver Post article that just came out this week that I saw this week. And I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But the headline is Denver police swarmed Montbello woman's 70th birthday party with guns drawn after nearby shot spotter alert, lawsuit alleges. And so ShotSpotter, I believe we've talked about it in the past. We've talked a lot about surveillance. If you're new here, we've talked a lot about surveillance
Yes.
technology. And ShotSpotter is another piece of technology that detects alleged gunshots. It also
Mhm.
picks up car backfirings, fireworks, and it's hard to differentiate. And so this sound alerts the police, and then they go to these scenes. A lot of times these shot spotter technology systems are put into neighborhoods that are already over policed, many times black and brown neighborhoods. And this woman, the police showed up to this birthday party of this 70-year-old woman, black woman, and this article, the 24 or so people at Augusta Horton's home on the evening of April 13th, 2024, told Denver police officers that no one had fired any shots around them and that their neighbors were setting off fireworks. But the officers nevertheless detained the partygoers, at times at gunpoint, and forced them to submit to unlawful searches, according to the complaint filed in Denver District Court on Monday. And then, like, yeah, the system can be triggered by sounds like fireworks, car backfires, or construction noise, and has been criticized for focusing police attention on low income communities with non white residents. And so, like, the ShotSpotter alert, I guess, referenced 2 shots at the address next door to the Hortons house, according to the lawsuit. The first officers arrived about 10 minutes after the alert and immediately zeroed in on the Hortons home, where about 24 Black people were gathered for the birthday party. And so I was like, we have examples already of living in a quote unquote tough on crime society, and it's harming people. It's harming people. Why do we want to live like this? Why do we want to live like this? Why do we want to be policing other people all the time? Especially wrongfully. This is how people get killed. People have been killed by stuff like this. And I was like, I just don't get it. And this rhetoric that's coming from these fools, that's what they are. They're fools. They're racist fools. I just don't get it.
Yeah, it's really tough for me because oftentimes people conflate having a very nuanced and trying to like, despite what people try to project, I don't believe left that people who share my ideology, it's not that we don't take crime seriously. In fact, no, I'm very serious about making sure that harm does not come to people, especially heinous acts of crime. Like I have my thoughts on like petty things, like things that I'm like, we over criminalize this. Like this doesn't need like I think we could better. There are other ways to do things like traffic infractions and things like that that other countries have implemented where it's digital or it's like we don't need police officers to go for that because that not only puts the people at risk, but it puts the officers at risk for no reason.
Mhm.
But for serious things, like I think maybe where I don't know, I don't wanna paint with a broad brush. Like things like violent crimes or child abuse or SA or things that are like genuinely heinous. I think that those are things that police do have a role or could potentially play a role in keeping people safe. But then you have situations like this where you're like, this is not doing that. And while I will be charitable and say that the people who created this technology might have had good intentions, once you realize that it's also triggering things that are completely unrelated, and the fact that human intervention does not take that into account, it then turns into, for me at least, it's like, then what are we doing it for? Why are we continuing it if we know you arrested people? Adam, you birthday while black, like you the birthday, sorry, as the young folks say.
You have a birthday, yes.
Like, what are we doing? Yeah, there's a great movie out called Mercy, I believe on Prime, where it kind of I mean, we've had many movies that kind of talk about using technology with crime and policing, and I thought it was interesting. But it just frustrates me because the whole rhetoric will just be, "Oh, you don't take crime seriously." And it's like, actually, no. If the difference is that while some people just want a punitive system, I don't have a problem with there being punishment for a crime. My problem is that we don't have a system where even if there needs to be punishment for a crime, we work to rehabilitate. To me, punitive measures without any rehabilitation isn't really fixing anything. And creating reducing the likelihood the petri dish that is there to produce that not that it's good, but and it's not excusing because I had this great conversation with a friend where I was like, it's not necessarily about excusing bad behavior because there are people who can be in the same petri dish who make other options. But my thing is remove the petri dish. Like we shouldn't be creating the conditions that make it more likely for people to commit crimes. And so I get annoyed because while some people just think just be punitive and do X, Y, and Z, I look at it, I'm like, I'm not soft on crime. I'm trying to be strategic on crime, where I'm like, we can have a system where if these things are done, here are the consequences. Here are the ways that we then work to ensure that the recidivism rate is drastically reduced. And we have to take a very preventative approach, similar to health, where we are trying to cultivate health, just like we're trying to cultivate peace. You can't just expect that people, if we don't create a system where peace is an intentional product of the actions and the policies that we produce, then why would you be surprised when you put people make desperate people, because desperate people are likely to do desperate things, they're more vulnerable to ideological capture by people like a Donald Trump or others who manipulate and ensure that they view that the other is their enemy. And it's like, yeah, these violent outcomes are inevitable in my opinion. So yeah, I've been trying to think about crime and, like, my thoughts on it because it's never been my while it's important, it's never been my, like, main political advocacy or, like, thing that I talk about, but lately, I have been thinking about it more because it's annoyed me how people kinda dismiss or like to say and because I've seen people that I generally agree with have, like, some really wild takes or, like, celebratory takes on, like, capital punishments and, like, death penalties and things, and I've been like, "Ooh, this is not something I expected." So it's forced me to kinda sit back and think to myself, like, "How do I view crime, and what do I wanna do about it?" Maybe it's a great future episode to bring
Yeah.
on some people who work in that space, abolitionists or otherwise, like, what are ways to kinda create a peaceful society?
I have the perfect person in mind.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
She's
let's get it.
Palestinian, and she also works with people who are incarcerated, kids who are in
Ooh,
cages. Perfect person in mind. She's already agreed to come on, so
okay, yay.
we'll just get her scheduled.
Love it.
But yeah, I was like, I've also been thinking, this is kind of my last thought, I think, on this before we start to wrap up. I've been thinking as well. I was like, I in elementary school, my school district took us on tours of the county jail.
Really?
And uh-huh, very traumatizing.
My church did it, not my school, though.
Really, really,
Mhm.
yeah. So yeah, we went on the tour of the county jail, and I've been thinking a lot lately too about like what do I consider crime or what do I consider violent crime? Because with these warehouse fires that have sort of started to pop up, and there was one warehouse fire in Ontario, California, at a Kimberly Clark warehouse where the person who allegedly, because they have not been convicted of anything, the person who allegedly started this warehouse on fire said on a video, all you had to do was pay us enough to live.
Really?
And as he allegedly lit all like these paper towels or toilet paper on fire, and the entire warehouse ignited
Oh my
in
lord.
flames. And from my knowledge, no one died,
Okay.
which I'm like, that's good. But to me, like property crime is different than like murder. Property crime is different than like people on people crime. And so, like, for me, this feels like justice. Whereas, like, we think about the Boston Tea Party as the event that kicked off the American Revolution. And I was like, that was vandalism. That was property
Mhm.
crime. And I was like, in my mind, this is no different. Where I'm like, it feels like justice. I don't want anyone to be hurt.
So, of
I,
course
I
not,
don't
yeah.
want anybody to be hurt. But I also understand I was like, they had enough money to all these companies have enough money to do shareholder, like, stock buybacks, and as a corporation myself and as the 100% shareholder of my business, I was like, "These shares and these stocks are just made up. They're made up." I have 100 shares in my business right now. If I wanted to split the shares and, like, bring on a partner, I could create 200 shares, and then we split it, and I give 100 to another person. It's all numbers on paper. It's all just like, it's crazy to me. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I definitely agree that I think there are degrees, and I it's like, what is that line between? Because for example, I get it, property people do have property, and, like, if I own something, I wouldn't want somebody to burn it down, but how I also understand that historically as we always say, violence or property destruction has been an answer.
Mhm.
Maybe not always the best, but America has used violence in perpetuity dang near. We see what's doing it right now. So it's kind of interesting to me the same people who detest any crime are silent or championing the crimes happening abroad. And so, yeah, I agree that I look at harm against people as like the top thing, in terms of crime, and then property to me. is a very different. I was like, I don't like when people like equate them. I'm like, they're not the same. And I'm like, they have insurance. Like, especially these bigger corporations. Again, not saying I don't think people should just be lighting up stuff. But if they did, it's like, well,
Yeah, I
'cause it's
get
like,
it.
I don't know what's gonna happen to the other workers, and, like, there is a chain effect to different things, and so I have some nuance and some grace, but my frustration is my ire is more directed at the people who might be negatively impacted by the downstream effects of it. Because I can't say they all got together and say, "Yeah, do that," and then it's like, "Dang, now ain't nobody got no job," you know?
Yeah.
Versus
I believe that they would be eligible for unemployment insurance.
yeah, but then even that, we fighting to get their unemployment insurance, like, what happens when it runs out? So it's like it's a bunch of things. So but do I understand the tactic being used when all other this is why we need a PRO Act. We need with these companies to be forced into negotiations and good faith negotiations so that it's not so difficult for workers to demand basic conditions and fair labor practices. This goes back to what I'm saying, the conditions, we have it set so that people don't feel that they have to that these corporations are not required to engage in good faith with their workers. They're not forced to come to the table. And so then people, when they've tried every legal avenue or tried everything that they can do, then what are they left with? Drastic measures. And
Yep.
again, this is an inevitable outcome of a system ensuring that property and capitalist class have the final say and the most power. That's the problem. We need to create one where there is a very balanced give take power balance between the labor force and the capitalist class. Until we abolish the capitalist class and let workers own the means of production, that's a different conversation.
Yep. Yep. I've been seeing a lot of the comments online saying, like, you hear the phrase, like, "Violence is never the answer," and they're like, they leave out the last part of that until it's the only answer.
Zeta Prostopedic, that's the one. So
Yeah.
yeah. And I wanted to give one final breaking news thing from today that is
Oh,
very
yeah.
so I hate to leave it on such a terrible note, but it was relevant to me and those who Virginia. So news came out that former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, who, for those who may or may not know, he was Lieutenant Governor during the before Youngkin, there was Ralph Northam. So Virginia, you can only do one governor term, and then you can't run successive terms. So he unfortunately was a rising star in the Democratic Party, and then they had some sexual allegation um, things come to light and he had pressure to come down. He didn't come step down. He finished his term. Well, unfortunately, it is being reported that he unfortunately murdered his wife and then unalived himself after that, and that the two children were in the home. So
Oh
unfortunately,
my
it's being
god.
treated as a murder suicide. That he had taken his wife out with multiple shots, and then he turned it on himself in another room in the house. So my prayers and thoughts go out to the children. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine the families, and close friends and loved ones of, anybody that knew them. That's just such a
Well,
horrific thing. I couldn't even I couldn't even imagine what that's like, especially for the children if they were in the home as is being alleged when something like that happened. So yeah, that's horrendous.
yeah. Oh, that's really too bad. I
Yeah.
That's the thing, we've talked on this show about our own mental health,
Mhm.
and I was like, that's the thing, I was like, the the voices sometimes I was talking about this with a friend earlier today. I was like, or not earlier today, but earlier this week. And like the voices sometimes saying like it would just be easier to just take a permanent nap. Like have I wouldn't necessarily say have been louder, but they've been more frequent.
Mhm.
When and I was and I but I was like, that's the thing, I was like, I'm not suicidal. I have a desire to live. I have a desire to live. But, like, because I have a lot of support around me and I have, like, a lot of community around me, I have my therapist that I see every week, like, I was like, I'm not planning on committing harm to myself or others, but, like, I can only imagine the amount of, like, pressure that someone feels that I was like, I don't think that there's I well, it's interesting because I couple this with, like, my thoughts of, like, I think that we should have, like, assisted suicide, like, where if
Who's
someone
that?
has, like, a terminal illness that they can like, that they know what the outcome's going to be and they don't wanna go through, like, all of that hardship, and then, like, your family can say goodbye, but, like, I just think it's so selfish to, like, do that to, like, another person to, like, assassinate and, like, murder another person and then yourself and, like, leaving your kids without, like, parents.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's
that's
your
I think
partner, your life partner?
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You don't have to do that. There are resources available, and, like, also, like, I think it's, like, 90% of people who are planning on committing, like, some sort of, like, harm to themselves or others, like, give indications, like, share with someone else, like, and
Wow.
it is okay, like, I remember learning about this, like, in college when I had to have, like, conversations with people when I was an RA about, like, the best thing that you can say to someone is it's not going to convince them to commit suicide is by saying, "Are you thinking about killing yourself? Are you thinking about killing someone else?" Because, like, just by naming it, it creates the space in order for someone to say, "Yeah, I am." And then you say, "Okay, do you have a plan? Do you have the means?" Like, and you just see how far along they are. And, like, just by talking about it doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually going to happen. And I think it's important that, like, the world is tough right now. The world is
Oh, yeah.
heavy. The US empire is crumbling. This empire is committing multiple genocides all over the world. And I would argue committing genocides here as well by not giving us healthcare, by having so many guns. I just, we don't have to live like this. We don't have to live like this. Like,
Yeah. You
ask
can't
people
name
how
it till
they're
you name it.
doing. Yes, ask
Yeah.
people how they're doing. Support them. If this is something that you cannot support, talk to, like, a professional. Go talk to a therapist. Like, that's the thing with, like, I don't wanna assume that everyone has access to the internet, but, like, I would say that, like, mental health care is more accessible now than it has been, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago with the increased access of telehealth. And so,
Yeah.
like, these are professionals who can provide you with resources to, like, make sure that you're, like, emotionally, like, okay, and that your, like, mental health is okay. Like, my emotional health is volatile all the time. I have really good days and I have really tough days. I've had some really tough days this week. And I've also thought I was like, "Oh, wow, like, this caused a lot." There were 56 people impacted by, like, it actually wasn't necessarily my fault, but it was related to a project that I had worked on and that the software messed up about, like, W-2,
Mm.
reporting. It, like, inflated the tax withholdings, and I was like, it's being fixed. I really do believe that pretty much everything can be fixed. Everything can be amended. This W-2, it's being amended, it's being corrected. We can amend our tax returns. But, like, I was talking to my mom the other day, we were talking about my sister's job. She works in the emergency room. But my mom said, and I think it's related to this, like, you can't amend a dead body. You
So
can't
true.
amend a dead body. But, like, I do think that, like, these problems that people are experiencing or these problems, like, that's all they are. They're just temporary. They're just temporary. And I don't think that there's any reason as to why we need to kill ourselves or kill someone else over
Yeah.
it.
You don't have to control alt delete. You just have to control what you can, alter the things that you need to, and delete any negativity or any thoughts that are stopping you. So what I recommend, of course, if you can't access, therapy in the moment. If you are experiencing a crisis or if you're having thoughts that you know aren't necessarily great before they get too far, dial 988, which is the suicide and crisis hotline. They have trained staff that are able to speak with you and hopefully at least get you to a place of stability, provide you with some resources needed because life is tough. And sometimes when all you can see when you're underwater and you lose sight of the shore or the top of the water, it can feel like you're going to succumb to it. But there's always, if you reach out, there's always someone willing to send down a floaty or send down a hand to pull you back up. So
Mhm.
dial 988 and we'll try to put some resource links to those things in the show notes as well for people who need it. But I know this was a darker twist on the things. I
But
just felt really
it's
sad because
important.
it was important. Yeah, we have to talk about it because this is very serious, unfortunately, and, watching people who had such prominence for something like this to happen is insane, so we definitely wanted to at least acknowledge what was going on, send our well wishes, prayers, and thoughts to the people who are gonna be left in the aftermath of such a heinous and cowardly act.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, feel free to share it with a friend. Rate us 5 stars on the platform where you listen. Get in touch with us like Jessica did at Call Me Limbo Pod on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Threads. Send us an email at callmelimbopod@gmail.com. You can go read our Substack at callmelimbopod.substack.com. We talk about a variety of things there. And I've talked about
Yes.
mental health in some of my written pieces. These feelings that people are having around mental health and like the darkness that exists in the world, they're real. They're real.
Yes.
And the glimmers also still exist. There is still light. There's still light. And it was like Marianne Williamson said, like the arc of the moral universe is long, but it does bend towards justice. Like I really do believe that like the there is darkness and there is light, and it's a matter of what we pay attention to. Like what my therapist said, like, David, you're creating your own suffering. And I was,
Mm.
and I was, and I was like, okay. And so now I think about like, okay, how can I problem solve this stuff? Am I actually just creating my own suffering? Am I like sitting in my own like just where am I? Like checking in with myself. Sometimes it feels good to create a little bit of my own misery. And then I was like, okay, how can I fix this? Because I don't want to be in a permanent state of misery, and we don't have to be.
Yeah.
So yeah. And if you want to support our work financially, you can by becoming a Patreon member. Go to patreon.com/callmelimbopod and contribute your financial support. We really appreciate it. It really helps us out. We are in the midst of our spring subscription season. We can't do this without you. So you get early access to the episodes, exclusive Wandering Thoughts episodes, and the full video episodes. And there will probably be more benefits forthcoming at some point. And you can also send one-time contributions on Venmo and Cash App if you don't want the ongoing commitment. Thank you. You know I struggle with
Yeah.
And, Day, it's like I always say, help control the pet population, have your men spayed or neutered.
So the manosphere is finna come for our necks. Bring it on, though. Look, as a gay, I'm used to dealing with trash men, so yes, bring it on. Nevertheless,
But Day, this is the reason why I mention this is because Jefferson County, which is a county in the Denver metro area, is now offering vasectomy Fridays, which I think is very exciting. And they're offering them at like sliding scale rates.
oh wow,
And without insurance at like a private clinic, you could pay like upwards of $3,000 without insurance. They're offering it around $800. So this is why we need to fund public health,
yeah,
public mental health.
because
Yeah.
some of these men don't need to reproduce.
No,
Unpopular opinion.
no, I agree.
Yeah, but on that note, thank y'all so much for listening, and remember, when they go low,
We sell you pie you can eat tomorrow.
so call
Call
me
me Limbo.
Limbo. Bye.
Bye.